You were not born weak. You were not created to be a spectator in your own life. This version of you that hesitates, that seeks permission, that flinches at conflict, this is not your core identity. This is a construct. It is a persona that has been carefully, systematically installed in you through years of conditioning. You were made this way. It happened through repetition. Every time you were rewarded for silence, for compliance, for not making a scene. It happened through rules, the unspoken social contracts that taught you to be polite, to be agreeable, to not rock the boat. What lives inside you now is not the man you are meant to be. It is a servant. It is a loyal, obedient, and fearful servant whose primary purpose is to please, to appease, and to seek the approval of others. This inner servant has been programmed to submit. It has been trained to ask, "Is this okay?" before it acts. It has been taught to apologize for taking up space, for having an opinion, for wanting more. That critical, hesitant voice in your head, the one that second, guesses your instincts, that softens your statements, that fears judgment above all else, that is not the voice of your true self. That is the voice of the servant. This servant is a psychological prison guard. His job is to keep you safe, but his method is to keep you small. He mistakes comfort for survival and obedience for success. He is the reason you flinch, you wait, you seek validation. And if you do not confront him, if you do not dismantle his authority, you will never be truly free. You will live your entire life within the confines he has set for you, watching from the sidelines as those with less refined servants, or no servants at all, claim the prizes of life. Freedom begins with the recognition that this servant is not you. He is a ghost in your machine, a relic of your training, and he must be dethroned. The transformation from servant to ruler does not happen through slow, gradual improvement. It occurs through a deliberate and violent inversion of your every instinct. The servant's programming is a series of deeply ingrained impulses to shrink when challenged, to explain when questioned, to apologize when noticed. Your path to power lies in doing the exact opposite. Every single time you feel the pull of the servant's instinct, you must consciously, forcefully invert it. When your body wants to shrink, to make itself smaller and less noticeable, you must expand. You stand taller, you pull your shoulders back, you occupy the physical space you are entitled to. When your mind wants to over-explain, to justify your actions and seek understanding, you must pause. You offer no explanation, you let your statements stand on their own, allowing the silence that follows to carry the weight of your conviction. When you feel the urge to apologize for a bold statement or a decisive action, you do not utter the words. Instead, you stare. You hold your ground with a calm, unbreaking gaze that communicates not apology, but assessment. This is how you forge what can be called dangerous confidence. It does not come from waiting until you feel ready. You will never feel ready. It comes from taking the actions that the inner servant would never dare to take. You begin to walk with purpose and speed, as a man with a destination. You consciously take up space, both physically and energetically. You stop the constant, placating nodding. You eliminate the upward, questioning inflection at the end of your sentences. You speak in a tone that is level, firm, and declarative. Your words are not suggestions offered up for debate. They are decisions being communicated. This inversion is a daily practice. It is the conscious slaughter of the servant's reflexes, one inverted instinct at a time. Powerful men do not announce their arrival with noise and bluster. They do not need to. Their presence is felt not through their voice, but through their silence, not through their movement, but through their stillness, not through their words, but through their stare. This is a gravitational presence. It is the ability to shift the atmosphere of a room simply by entering it. This is not about being the loudest or the most known. It is about being the most felt. When you enter a space, you break the first rule of the servant. You do not look for permission. You do not scan the room seeking approval or a welcoming glance. You observe, you absorb, you allow the others, still trapped in their need to prove themselves, to rush and fill the silence. While they chatter, you calculate. Your posture is the first thing that speaks. It communicates a history of authority before your mouth ever opens. You move with a deliberate slowness, not from uncertainty, but from a place of absolute control. There is no hurry. A predator does not waste energy sprinting until the moment of the strike. Until then, it is the picture of calm, focused readiness. Most people are utterly unaware of how their need for approval dictates their behavior. They talk too fast, they move too erratically, they interrupt constantly. All tells of a mind still operating beneath someone else's judgment. But when you carry yourself as if you own the room, your entire communication strategy changes. You do not speak to impress, you speak to decide. Every sentence you utter carries a sense of finality. It sounds like a conclusion, not the opening of a committee discussion. People begin to listen to you differently. They do not challenge you, they calibrate themselves to you. You create a gravity that pulls others into your orbit, forcing them to question their own position simply by standing near you. Words are not merely a means of communication. In the hands of a ruler, they are weapons. Most men speak as if they are asking for permission to exist. You can hear it in their speech patterns, the rising, questioning intonation, the nervous laughter that punctuates statements, the filler words, and self-deprecating prefaces like "I think," "I'm not sure," or "this might be a stupid idea," but this is not speech, it is self-sabotage. It is the verbal equivalent of bowing. The Machiavellian understands that true power is often less about what you say and more about how you say it. When you speak with an air of unshakable certainty, people bypass logical analysis and submit to the weight of your conviction. This is the game. Human beings are not rational creatures. They are emotional ones. They do not follow objective truth. They follow the loudest, most convincing signal. If you sound sure, they assume you are right. If you sound hesitant, they assume you are wrong, regardless of the facts. So, what is the sound of command? It is slow, it is calm, it is final. You speak as if your words are not open for debate, as if each sentence is a decree from a higher authority. You speak like a man who already expects to be obeyed. You do not need to speak often to be respected. In fact, speaking less is a power move in itself. It makes your words scarce and therefore more valuable. When you do speak, you eliminate all traces of softness. No filler words, no unnecessary explanations, no apologies. You burn the verbal escape hatches. You say what you mean, and then you let the silence hang. That silence dares others to challenge you, and most, sensing your certainty, will not. Your tone is your true message. It tells people exactly where you stand in the hierarchy. To rise, you lower your pitch, slow your tempo, and remove all nervous energy. You sound like a man with nothing to prove and everything under control. You can master your posture and you can master your speech, but if another person can trigger you with a single sentence, you are not powerful, you are exposed. This is the frontier where most men fail. They build an impressive exterior, but their inner world is still a democracy, vulnerable to every external vote of disrespect or praise. You are not free until you have won the invisible war, the war for control of your own mind. A ruler does not fear his enemies, he fears dependency. He fears having his emotional state be determined by the actions of others. He understands that once people know what moves you, what insults sting, what flattery soothes, they know exactly where to press. And once they know where to press, you are no longer dangerous, you are manageable. Manageable men are used until they are no longer useful, and then they are discarded. Your transformation, therefore, requires that you stop being the man who reacts and become the man who calculates. Someone insults you. The servant wants to lash out or explain. The ruler simply observes. He extracts data. What is this person trying to achieve? What insecurity are they hiding behind this attack? Someone praises you. The servant wants to melt with gratitude. The ruler analyzes. Why this compliment? Why now? What is the strategic goal? Someone ignores you. The servant panics and seeks attention. The ruler becomes colder, more silent, using their indifference as a shield. This is what it means to become psychologically unreachable. You are not emotionless. You are the master of your emotions. You feel everything, but you act on nothing unless it serves a strategic outcome. Your mind is not a public park. It is a fortified citadel, and you alone decide who gains entry. This journey is not about adding new techniques to your old self. It is about fundamentally rewiring your identity. The core of the servant's programming is a set of deeply held beliefs that make you controllable. To break this code, you must systematically target and destroy these beliefs. The first is the need to be understood. This is a root virus. The desperate desire to explain yourself, to have your intentions seen and validated, is what makes you manipulable. You must burn this need. You do not exist to be understood by the masses. You exist to move the world around you with strategic, surgical precision. Your actions and their results are your only necessary communication. The second is the fear of rejection. The Machiavellian mind does not chase acceptance. It controls access. You should not want to be invited in. You should make people anxious about what happens when they are no longer allowed near you. Reframe rejection not as a personal wound, but as strategic intelligence. It tells you where your current level of power is insufficient and where you need to focus your growth. The third is the habit of emotional reaction. Emotions are data, not commands. Anger is fuel, not an excuse for an outburst. An insult is leverage, not a cause for pain. Doubt from others is a reason for deeper silence, not for frantic self-justification. Let your results do the talking later. This is how you build an undeniable identity. You become a man who cannot be moved by petty provocations or cheap praise. When the people around you realize that nothing they do can provoke an emotional reaction from you, they stop trying to manipulate you. They are faced with a terrifying realization: you are the one person they cannot move. To the weak, rejection is a wound. It is a confirmation of their inadequacy. To the powerful, rejection is a gift. It is a signal, a flashing light that reveals a weakness in your position. It is the world telling you that you were too available, too obvious, too desperate. This is not an insult. It is invaluable intelligence. The first rule of handling rejection is to never, ever appear affected. The moment you show a flicker of pain, you hand power to the rejecter. Your legend must be one of impenetrability. You were not rejected. They were simply disqualified from accessing the future version of you. You do not react. You evolve. The second step is to weaponize your absence. What happens when something people took for granted suddenly vanishes? They feel its absence. They begin to question its value. This is what you do. You vanish. No dramatic exits, no emotional farewells, just a strategic and complete withdrawal. While they are wondering about the void you left, you are building, improving, and sharpening your edge. The third step is to reframe the narrative entirely for your own mind. You were not rejected. You selected yourself out of a situation that was beneath you. You allowed them to say no as a test of their discernment, and they failed. Their no told you everything you needed to know about their vision and their worth. Now you are free to upgrade your environment and your ambitions without them. Rejection is not a door slammed in your face. It is a redirect toward a path where you do not have to ask twice. The goal after rejection is never revenge. Revenge is an emotional, reactive game for the servant-minded. The ruler's power is always calculated and forward-looking. You do not seek to get back at those who dismissed you. Instead, you let time and your own relentless progress handle the response for you. You reappear only when your presence itself creates discomfort. You return when your success is so visible, so undeniable, that the person who rejected you cannot avoid confronting it. They see you dominating the very space they thought you were unworthy to occupy. In this moment you offer nothing, no gloating, no sarcastic remarks, no acknowledgement of the past. You offer at most a neutral glance, or better yet, no glance at all. You are utterly indifferent. This is the ultimate control. You are not trying to win their approval anymore. You are demonstrating that you have become the standard by which they are now measured. Their rejection becomes their own burden, their own miscalculation that they must live with. You have evolved beyond their reach, and your silent, successful presence is a permanent, elegant testament to their lack of vision. You have converted their no into the fuel that propelled you to a height where their yes is now irrelevant. This process was not about inspiration. It was not about comfort or positive thinking. You have been rebuilt from the inside out. You did not kill self-doubt with affirmations. You slaughtered it with consistent, bold action. You learned the timeless lesson that power is not seized by the perfect, but by the bold who are willing to act despite their imperfections. You have transformed your relationship with approval. You no longer chase it. You now let people feel the tangible cost of losing access to you. You have become scarce, strategic, and silent, and in doing so, you have become valued. You no longer enter rooms hoping to be accepted. You now command them through an unshakable presence and a calibrated silence. Your speech is no longer a request to be heard. It is a declaration that cannot be ignored. Most importantly, you have rewired your core identity. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer easily moved by external validation or criticism. You have become psychologically unreachable and emotionally untouchable. They cannot provoke you. They cannot tempt you. They cannot shake your foundation, because you now belong to no one but yourself. This is what makes you unforgettable. This is the stuff of legend, not loud fame, but powerful silence, not frantic action, but cold clarity, not emotional reactions, but ruthless consistency. You do not need to announce this change. It will be felt in your walk, heard in your tone, and noticed in your absence. You have become the man people observe quietly. The one who used to chase is now being chased. The one who used to ask for permission is now the one who grants it. You are no longer seeking a standard. You have become it. This was never about confidence. This was about total dominance, mental, emotional, and psychological. You are not here to fit into their world. You are here to move its pieces, to bend its reality, and to haunt its memory even in your silence, because legends do not beg, they do not explain, they simply exist, and the world is forced to reshape itself around them. This is where the training ends and the eternal campaign begins. You have been armed, deprogrammed, and forged in a fire of your own creation, but understand this with absolute clarity. What you have undertaken is not a 10-step program to be completed. It is a declaration of a permanent state of war. A war not against a specific enemy, but against the relentless, gravitational pull of mediocrity. It is a war against the dormant servant who still whispers from the ashes of his execution, waiting for a moment of your weakness to reconstitute himself. The battlefield is every interaction, every silent moment of choice, every glance in the mirror. There is no ceasefire, there is only victory or decay. Your new reality is defined by a single, non-negotiable principle. You are the architect of your own power. You no longer react to the world, you impose your design upon it. This is the final, critical evolution from disciple to master. Before, you were given rules: invert your instincts, master your voice, control your mind. Now, you must become the source of the rules. You must build your own structure of power, brick by brick, day by day. This architecture is built upon three foundational pillars: ritual, reconnaissance, and ruthless prioritization. First, ritual. The servant lives on chaos and emotion, tossed by the waves of daily circumstance. The ruler is built on the bedrock of discipline. Your days must no longer be a series of reactions, but a deliberate, repeated ceremony of self-reinforcement. Your morning is not the frantic search for a caffeine fix. It is a silent hour of planning, physical conditioning, and mental fortification. Your walk is not a meandering path. It is a drill in presence and posture. Your speech is not careless chatter. It is a daily practice of the declarative tone. These are not tasks. They are sacred rites that honor the ruler you have become and defend against the servant you have left behind. When you fail to perform these rituals, you are not being lazy. You are dismantling your own fortress, willingly handing the keys back to your former, weaker self. Second, reconnaissance. The Machiavellian mind is a perpetual intelligence agency with one primary target: the human landscape. You are no longer a passive participant in social dynamics. You are an active analyst. Every person you meet is a source of data. You listen not just to their words, but for the hidden architecture of their needs, their fears, and their insecurities. You observe body language not as a curious bystander, but as a strategist mapping the terrain of their soul. This is not about manipulation for petty gain. It is about understanding the currents of power so you can navigate them with precision. You are identifying the allies of circumstance, the potential threats, and the useful instruments. You are also, and most critically, conducting reconnaissance on yourself. You must become a ruthless auditor of your own performance. Where did you hesitate? When did you feel the old need for approval? Which interaction triggered the servant's reflex? This nightly debrief is not for self-flagellation. It is for strategic adjustment. You are honing your ultimate weapon, your own refined character. Third, ruthless prioritization. The world will constantly try to seduce you with its priorities. It will demand your time, your energy, your emotional investment in its trivial dramas and its hollow rewards. The servant in you will be tempted to comply, to be nice, to be a team player. The ruler knows that yes to them is often no to yourself. Your focus must become a laser, burning through the non-essential. You must ask of every person, every project, every demand on your attention, does this strengthen my power base? Does this align with my strategic objective? Does this deserve a single ounce of my limited energy? You will cut people loose not with drama, but with silent, surgical finality. You will abandon projects that lead to dead ends. You will protect your focus as a king protects his throne. This ruthlessness is not cruelty. It is the necessary ecology of a high-performance mind. Weeds must be pulled so the oak tree can grow. This triumvirate, ritual, reconnaissance, and ruthless prioritization, creates a self-sustaining system of power. Your rituals give you the stability to observe clearly. Your reconnaissance provides the intelligence to prioritize effectively. Your ruthless prioritization conserves the energy needed to maintain your rituals. This is the engine of your legacy. Now we arrive at the ultimate purpose of this war, the creation of a legacy that outlives you. You are no longer building for a promotion, for a bank account, or for the admiration of your peers. These are the temporary trophies of small men. You are building something that will cast a long shadow long after you are gone. This legacy is the sum total of the battles you have won within yourself, projected onto the world. It is the reputation that precedes you and the legend that follows you. It is the culture of excellence you instill in your endeavors, the standard you set that forces others to rise. It is the cold, unshakable certainty you embody that becomes a reference point for others seeking power. They will not remember the specific words you said. They will remember the way you made them feel, the feeling of gravity in your presence, the chilling certainty in your voice, the unnerving calm in your eyes. They will tell stories of your unshakable composure in a crisis, your strategic silence in the face of provocation, your generosity that was not a plea for love but a demonstration of abundance. You become an archetype. You become the man that fathers point to and say, "Be like him." You become the standard against which potential leaders are measured and found wanting. You stand now at the summit of your own becoming, looking out at a world that appears different. The colors are sharper, the sounds more distinct, the motives of others transparent. This new clarity is not a gift, it is the byproduct of a great and necessary sacrifice. You have slain the servant within, forged an unbreakable will, and mastered the arts of presence and perception. But you must now confront the final, and for many the most difficult, truth. Sovereignty comes with a profound and permanent solitude. The path you have chosen is, by its very nature, a lonely one. To believe otherwise is to cling to the final vestige of the servant's hope, the hope for communal comfort. This solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is the servant's ache, a feeling of lack, a desperate need for external validation to fill an internal void. The solitude of the ruler is a choice. It is the quiet atmosphere of the mountain peak, a necessary condition for the clarity of your vision. It is the price of having a mind that operates on a different frequency from the herd. You see what they cannot, and in doing so, you forfeit the comfort of shared blindness. You plan while they panic. You act while they debate. You build in silence while they clamor for attention. This operational difference creates an inevitable distance. You are no longer a part of the chorus. You are the composer, and the composer does not sing along. This manifests in your relationships. You will find that most connections were never about genuine communion, but about mutual need. The servant in others sought your approval, your energy, your support for their own fragile identity. Now that you refuse to play that game, now that your validation is generated internally, many will find you unusable. Your old friends, the ones built on shared insecurity and complaint, will find your presence unsettling. Your calm neutrality refuses to feed the drama they thrive upon. They will slowly drift away, not with a confrontation, but with a quiet, mutual understanding that the contract has been voided. Do not mourn them. Their departure is simply the system purging what is no longer compatible with your new operating code. You will be misunderstood constantly and profoundly. The average mind, conditioned to seek simple causes, will label you. They will call you arrogant, cold, detached. They will mistake your strategic silence for disdain, your emotional control for a lack of passion, your calculated actions for manipulation. This is the language of the servant trying to comprehend the king. To correct them is to descend to their level and seek the understanding you have already sworn to forsake. Let their misinterpretations stand as a monument to their own limitations. Your reality is not contingent upon their comprehension. This extends to leadership. To lead is not to be loved. It is to be respected, trusted, and, when necessary, feared. The desire to be the nice leader, the one everyone likes, is the servant's final trap. It is a poison that dilutes decisive action with the need for approval. The sovereign understands that true loyalty is not born from affection, but from respect for competence, certainty, and the unwavering application of a clear standard. You will make decisions that are correct but unpopular. You will prioritize the long-term health of your mission over the short-term happiness of your team. Some will resent you for it. Let them. Their resentment is the proof that you are leading, not babysitting. Your circle will grow smaller, but its composition will change. It will no longer be filled with sycophants and fair weather companions, but with other sovereign individuals, those who respect your boundaries because they have fortified their own, who speak with clarity because they think with it, and who require no coddling because they are self-contained. These alliances are not based on emotional need, but on strategic synergy and mutual respect. They are rare, and they are worth more than 1,000 shallow friendships. Embrace this solitude. It is not your enemy, it is your sanctuary. It is the silent space where your strategy is refined, your will is tempered, and your vision is crystallized. In the quiet, you hear the whispers of your own intuition, undistorted by the noise of the crowd. This is where you commune with the legacy you are building. The servant fears being alone with his thoughts because they are a chaotic and self-critical mess. The ruler cherishes his own company because his mind is a well-ordered council chamber. Therefore, do not see this isolation as a cost, but as the ultimate dividend. It is the evidence that you have successfully seceded from the Republic of Approval. You are a nation of one, with defined borders, a strong central government, and a clear foreign policy. You engage with the world from a position of strength, not need. You can connect, love, and contribute not because you have to, but because you choose to, and that is the only form of connection that holds any real power. The sovereign's solitude is the final, unshakable foundation upon which a truly powerful and enduring life is built. It is the quiet victory that needs no applause.